It now being 7:04, the regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals in the Town of Orleans is called to order. This is the first meeting since July 20th, 2016. It would be in order to consider the minutes of the meeting of July 20th and approve them. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Jablin seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Present tonight are myself, Michael P. Marnick, the chair. Also regular members, William McCarthy and Beth McCartney. In addition, present are associate members Bruce Taub and Peter Jablin, and the board secretary, who is Sandy Stewart. Excused is the building commissioner of the town of Orleans, Tom Evers. We have 3 items on the, a full quorum is indicated with 5 members, associate and regular. There are 3 items on the agenda for the evening, and welcome everyone. The first is case number 2038, the application of Christopher J. Diaz. Is everyone ready to proceed? Mr. Taub.
Did I hear you correctly that the building commissioner was excused?
Yes.
Not had that experience before, and I often find myself relying on his presence, if not his specific contribution.
I use excused with it very broadly, that is to say that his attendance, he's not in attendance.
I'm trying to get that. He's on half days now. So he acknowledged that he's eager to come back, but he's not there yet. So he sends his apologies and said, please let Michael know. And
Okay, I
Gee.
just,
Recovering?
Yeah.
Medical?
yeah.
Medical? Is he recovering from? Oh, okay.
he had some medical procedure.
He had back surgery.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, case number 2038 is an application for a special permit as set forth in General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 6, and under Orleans zoning bylaw, Sections 164-3C, 164-21A, 164-43, and 164-44. To construct a screened porch on an existing deck where the deck and the dwelling are pre-existing non-conforming structures with respect to setback to the top of a coastal bank. This property is located at 28 Blue Heron Way, Orleans map number 69, parcel 8. Now, I'm asking whether any members of the board have had any communication with the applicant or any of the applicant's agents which would give rise to a conflict of interest. There's no positive response. Is any member of the board aware of any other fact which would suggest that that member ought not to consider this application? There's no positive response. Therefore, I declare all 5 members, associate and regular, to be indifferent and impartial. Mr. Little, can you proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Marnick, members of the board. David Little representing Chris and Antonia Diaz. Chris and Antonia are in the process of renovating the existing dwelling that they purchased this past spring. The renovations that are occurring within the dwelling do not change the footprint of the dwelling, nor do they change the ridge of the dwelling. There is an addition that's proposed on the north side of the dwelling, but that addition complies with the top of bank setback requirement as noted in my height calculations on the plan. And they have just finished renovating and rebuilding the existing deck on sonotube footings in the existing footprint. But what they would additionally like to do is construct a screen porch on the southwesterly corner of the deck. And the deck is actually extends out over the top of the coastal bank. So there, it is non-conforming, and it is impossible to meet any setback from the top of the coastal bank. But that being said, the deck is getting no closer to the resource areas, so we are not increasing the non-conforming nature in any manner other than building the screen porch, the ridge of which is not higher than the ridge of the existing dwelling. So a building permit has been issued for the renovation and the addition on the north, with the exception of the screen porch. So if any of the members had the opportunity to visit the site and they saw that it was well under construction, it's only the portions that are allowed to proceed by right. The one part that is not allowed to proceed until we receive a special permit is the screen porch. So I have submitted a site plan showing the location of the screen porch, and I've also submitted plans and elevations by Sullivan Architects of Martha's Vineyard. And on it, it shows where the screen porch is. It shows the elevation view of the screen porch as you can see it from the river that comes up into Aries Pond. And I think it certainly is appropriate, and it fits in nicely with the existing structure, which we are maintaining all aspects of dimensionally, with the exception of the addition on the north side. So I'm just going to move on to the special permit criteria. The site is adequate for the screen porch. The porch will be constructed over the existing deck. The waterfront site is suitable for the addition. The proximity of the house to the water and marsh necessitates the need for a screen porch. There would be no additional impact on traffic flow or safety. There would be no new impact on neighborhood visual character. In fact, I think, Mr. Chairman, you'll find a letter in the correspondence relative to this application from the abutter that lives directly across the river, who has indicated that he is in favor of the project. The property is served by a recently installed Title V septic system. All stormwater runoff will be infiltrated into the ground via gutters and downspouts and catch basins in the driveway. The adequacy of utilities and public services are not impacted by the addition. There will be no noise or litter other than the temporary impacts associated with construction. A dumpster will remain on site to contain all construction debris, and the Orleans Conservation Commission has issued an order of conditions for the project to help ensure the protection of groundwater quality, recharge volume, and water quality of coastal and fresh water bodies. So I think it's a pretty straightforward special permit application. Please ask away with any questions. I'll attempt to answer them. Thank you.
Mr. Todd, proceed.
When I first looked at this, I thought, complete no-brainer. I mean, really, this is as straightforward as you say. And then it occurred to me that there are screen porches and screen porches. And then it occurred to me that we're really not the appropriate body to be making that determination. But I wondered what you meant by a screened porch.
It is a screen porch. It's not going to be a three-season room. It's not going to be, as you can see from the elevations and the plans, it's very specific. The
height dimension?
The height dimension is, if you look on the back page of the elevations that I provided you, it's probably about 3 feet below the existing ridge of the small dwelling. It's a very, very modest dwelling. And we're,
As you recall, we incidentally met there one day.
Yes, we did.
So I'm familiar with the dwelling.
and it's a very sensitive site. This took several meetings with the Conservation Commission. I think it might have taken 4 hearings with them. The applicant has come up with a significant restoration and planting plan for the site. And that being said, I think that I think the design is great.
So who ruled on the design itself? Conservation said, go ahead. Was it an architectural review board?
No,
or
no, there's no. They do review aesthetics.
They,
The Conservation Commission has an aesthetic
okay.
component
so
with their
Conservation
regulations.
Commission had signed off on materials, dimensions.
Exactly.
Fine.
For instance, deck
That's
space.
all, that's all I was asking. Thank you.
So the screen porch is quite nicely illustrated on this, to the left.
Yes, it is.
And it goes all the way back, and there's a series of steps that come down from it.
Yes, that show on the site plan.
And those steps, they're already in place.
There were steps, and we're rebuilding the steps. They are not in place right now.
All right. Now, I would have liked to have had, when did you receive the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission?
Didn't I provide that with the application?
Not in my package.
Oh,
certainly.
I apologize.
I don't see it, and ordinarily, our practice has been to tie it in to the special permit, if it be granted. 13.
Yeah.
15.
Guess it's a reasonable size, huh?
Yeah,
Here is your courier service.
I think it is from there to there.
That too.
And it's not built to the ground, it's really
Look how much closer it is to that.
sonotubes and posts.
Thank you. This is your only copy?
I can get another one from the registry. I can submit that into the
You may,
record.
if you like to circulate it, that would be fine, Mr. Todd.
I
I'd
apologize,
like to-
Mr. Chairman,
I'd like
for
to
not-
receive that as part of the record. You could-
That's an error on my part. I apologize. I thought I had submitted that.
That's okay. Well, how long ago was it?
Several months ago.
Has that been recorded at the Registry of Deeds?
Yes, it has.
Let the record reflect that Ron Bohr, B-O-R, who is a butter to the extent that his property is at excuse me. His property's at 11 Little Marsh Lane. The other side of the river. It may not have submitted a writing, but he did call, and he called the town clerk today and expressed support for the project. I think that's the man you were referring to.
No, there's another letter.
Did it come with the package? Was it with the package?
It's the one you sent me.
I thought we were both 239.
No, I can give you my copy.
It's one of the ones I gave you. Sorry, it's that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I put it in, I put it in
Yeah, I think
2039.
they were both for the same.
Let the record reflect that there's a letter dated August 24th, 2016 by Richard N. Miller, the owner of, or co-owner of 10 Little Marsh Lane, also across the river. He says, that he was glad that received notification. Of course, it was statutory. He was within the bulge, but he did appreciate being included in notification because he thought that he was more visually affected by the project than any other abutter. So he's attended the hearings on the case. I suppose that meant that he went to the Conservation Commission on at least one occasion, 2 occasions. He says he studied the schematics and he talked directly with Mr. Diaz. He says a difficult building to deal with considering its non-conforming placement on the coastal bank, but he said that the applicant has planned a very acceptable job of restoration which will enhance the neighborhood, and he has no objections. Is there anyone else present wishing to speak in favor of the application? Yes, sir.
Peter O'Mara, 4 Little Marsh Lane, and we strongly support the approval of the variance.
Very well.
They've done an excellent job so far with the property.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Any further questions from any members of the Board of Appeals?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to
Yes, sir.
indicate that I have reviewed the order of conditions, and I've moved the findings, which are usually at the end, to the front if you want to take a quick perusal of them. It's clear that it was subject to very thorough review and approval, in my humble opinion.
Very well.
Quick question. Is it the case that the proposed screen porch and I guess the parallel line of the building, pardon me, on the south side, I guess, is that pre-existing, but it's just being altered to have the porch be a component of it as opposed to just a deck?
Exactly. The porch is being constructed within the footprint of the pre-existing non-conforming deck.
Okay. And it really extends only in the above ground with supports underneath?
That's correct, and it doesn't exceed the existing ridge height. It's
Right.
it's approximately 3 feet below that.
No further questions, Mr. Chairman?
The large triangles at the top, is that going to be plexiglass or glass?
Glass.
Glass, okay. And then the screens are removable?
I would assume so, Beth, yes.
I mean, it looks just like my deck. So, okay.
If, in the case of yours, when you remove the screens, it's just open to the elements?
Yes, I take the screens out every winter.
And it will have a the stainless steel cable for below the railing, even though it appears to be open in the photographs. You can see that there is a stainless steel cable to prevent or to comply with the building code because of its,
For safety.
yes.
Are there any further questions? Well, we can close this application for hearing, and I propose that the board issue a special permit as contained in the application.
If you so moved, I
Can you second
second
it?
it.
Mr. Todd seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor
Aye.
Aye.
and opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I will undertake the drafting of an appropriate decision granting the application.
Mr. Little, continuing my streak of inappropriate comments, would you tell your clients that it's nice to see people who respect and admire the kind of property they're privileged to own and are treated in this way?
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, do you want your extras?
Yes, I would appreciate any extras.
In that case. Just a little. I have these two. Thank you. Then we will proceed to case number 2039. This is the application of Frank and Terry Libby for a special permit as set forth in general laws, chapter 40A, section 6 under Orleans zoning bylaw, section 164.3C, 164.21A, 164.43, and 164.44 to raise and replace a pre-existing single-family dwelling which is in non-conforming with regard to yard setbacks. This property is located at 22 Nauset Heights Road, Orleans, Massachusetts. On Orleans, is shown on Orleans map number 29, parcel 79. Is there any member of the board who's had communication with the applicant or any of the applicant's agents which would give rise to a conflict of interest or ought to be otherwise disclosed?
No.
Then the no positive response, therefore I declare the members and associate members in attendance to be indifferent and impartial. Mr. Little, you may proceed, please.
Thank you, Mr. Marnick. Members of the board, David Little, Ryder and Wilcox, representing Frank and Terry Libby, who are behind me in the second row. And I am requesting that the board either consider amending special permit case number 2022, or in the alternative, issue a new special permit for the project. The Libbys, in the months that have followed the issuance of the first special permit, the Libbys they've been interviewing several contractors, which led to
Tear it down.
getting an opinion from a structural engineer. And as it turns out, the elements in the house, such as the fireplace, the chimney, the stairway, and even sections of the foundation have been found to be structurally deficient. So, the original application was for a renovation. We were intending to remove the north wing and the south wing of the house, keeping the center section. The Libbys, Frank and Terry, actually loved the living room. There's an old fireplace. They were actually really hoping to be able to maintain the center section, and as it turns out, that is not the case. So in accordance with the special permit guidelines, we are asking that they be allowed to raise and rebuild, which is appropriate under the special permit criteria for the town, rather than do a renovation. I have some plans I'd like to, a plot plan and a plan I'd like to pass out to help explain things a little bit further.
Thank you.
The dwelling itself, the nonconformities have either remained the same or they've actually improved a little bit. Some of them have improved by 0.2 of a foot. Some have improved by 0.8 of a foot. The building coverage has actually been reduced by 6 square feet. What happened when our office went through this and took it from a renovation to a new structure? We found that there were certain areas that could be tweaked, that could work out better. So we're essentially, for all intents and purposes, going to end up with the same dwelling. If I could draw your attention to the approved plan versus the proposed plan. The only changes that are occurring are the Libbies have chosen to change these windows to look like that to help with some arranging of furniture. And they, rather than wire all along the first floor and third floor deck for code purposes, they're going to have a wooden, a partial wood wall with a little bit of wire on top of it. Other than that, the footprint is essentially the same. There are really nothing is different from what came before you originally. It's just that they learned that it wasn't feasible, is what it boiled down to. In the first hearing, the Libbies agreed to construct a privacy fence on the rear for the neighbor to the rear, Hank Schumacher, who I see is here in the back row. And they also agreed to limit exterior construction from Labor Day to Memorial Day. And they're perfectly comfortable with those restrictions that were placed on the original special permit. So I guess what I would first like to ask of you, Mr. Marnick, if it's within the scope just to amend the existing special permit, or if you feel that I should go through the criteria and in the alternative issue would request a new special permit. I'm prepared to do either. The changes are such that the significant change is it's going to be torn down and a new foundation, a new dwelling is going to be built. The structure itself is going to look exactly the same.
From the outside.
From the outside, and essentially from the inside. They liked a lot of the original elements.
You know what year the original house was built?
1920.
Did that require any historic commission?
We've dealt with all that. All the hoo-ha.
Chairman, a question that may bear on whether your decision about amending versus new. David, could you just, you're right that the shape of the house looks the same, but when I look at the existing and proposed, there's about, 290 or 291 additional square feet of the dwelling. The garage remains the same. So just curious as to that difference, the increase in...
It's actually a decrease. The special permit was issued for 2,592 square feet, and the new dwelling will actually be 2,586 square feet. So it's minor, but there's a 6 square foot reduction in the footprint of the dwelling.
What
So-
were you relying on?
So is the plan that was in the packet,
If I could,
went from 2301 to 2592.
this might help you